Fresh meat.
When you think of Halloween, the name Michael Myers comes to mind. The same is true with Laurie Strode. These names, along with Jamie Lloyd, Sam Loomis, and even Ben Tramer, will resonate with horror fans. And the same can be said about Haddonfield, the fictional town where Judith Myers was murdered in cold blood by her younger brother on that fateful Halloween night. With every sequel, including Rob Zombie's take on the masked psychopath, we've witnessed numerous features about the citizens of this sleepy little community. And in the latest chapter, Halloween Kills, David Gordon Green has taken a deep dive into Myers' hometown. It may revel in nostalgia, yet it still manages to bring something compelling to the popular horror series. Let's take a stab at the latest entry into this terrifying town. After the brutal attack and ultimate survival of Laurie Strode, her daughter Karen, and her granddaughter Allison, the three believe they've conquered evil. They haven't. Michael Myers escaped what would have been a fiery death only to continue his horrific assault on the community at hand. This time, however, fellow survivor Tommy Doyle has other plans. Along with a few familiar faces to the series, Tommy leads a charge to rid Haddonfield of the boogeyman. All the while, Michael is prowling the streets searching for victims and making his way to the place he knew as home. While this recent trailer reveals quite a lot about what takes place, there are still healthy amounts of tricks and treats that will please fans that have grown to love this iconic franchise. David Gordon Green and co-screenwriters Danny McBride and Scott Teems produced something unique with the second feature in this planned trilogy. Here, he explores the effects of grief and PTSD more than we've seen from horror films in general, although the Halloween franchise has perhaps done a better job than most. While we did get a taste of this in Halloween H2O, here we see the immediate effects of loss courtesy of Judy Greer and Andy Matichak. You could also take into account the entire denizens that gather together to destroy this monster. Haddonfield is a town that is ready to bury the dead and move on from the nightmare. It's a fascinating concept, one that works well in the world that Green and company have created. The biggest issue here might be that this is the middle story. Kills is not the promised finale that we'll be witnessing next with Halloween Ends, and one of the most appealing aspects of Halloween is obviously the fight between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. Now if you're hoping for a face-off between the two, you might be disappointed. That's sure to be the focus of next year's entry, of course, but thankfully, both Judy Greer and Andy Matichak are ready to carry the torch. It's especially gratifying to watch someone as talented as Greer take on such material. The actress has a challenging task of dealing with loss, the horrible realization her mother was right, and staying true to her nurturing personality. It's impressive work, and the moments she shares with Jamie Lee are especially credible and damn near touching. As a family, I've grown attached to these three characters. And then there is Michael Myers. Nick Castle and James Jude Courtney return to bring The Shape back to life. And Michael Myers is exceptionally cruel this time around. The masked maniac wants to play. Myers remains a scary lurk-in-the-dark kind of character, yet he's even more ferocious this time around. The scenes of bloodshed and violence he brings to this quiet little town are graphic and intense. And yes, this one is a bloody mess in the best of ways. If you felt that the previous feature was light on the red, you'll be pleased with the gruesome horrors on display here. Perhaps almost being burned alive in the earlier installment didn't sit well with the big fella. With Courtney taking on most of the heavy lifting for the second time, he brings a sinister nature to this beast of a madman. As well, Castle appears in an effective sequence that is bound to excite fans of the original. Speaking of the original, the return of a few characters from the first film is yet another treat for longtime fans. They include Lindsay Wallace, played by Kyle Richards, Marion Chambers, played by Nancy Stevens, and the legendary Charles Cypher as Lee Brackett. And their involvement doesn't detract from the terror on display. Even still, some of these side characters are not fully fleshed out as they could have been. Filling in for a few other familiar characters, you have Anthony Michael Hall as Tommy Doyle, and Robert Longstreet taking on Lonnie Elam.
Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
God, I love that scene. If you've been fond of this series since John Carpenter's original classic, the inclusion of these characters truly helps bring the mythology explored by Green and Company to life. And speaking of characters, the score by John Carpenter, Cody Carpenter, and Daniel A. Davies is yet another solid contribution. While they still stand by the tried and true original score, the composition takes a few creepy turns. One sequence featuring Michael and Allison brings something very unique to the film. Add to that a few moments where we witness true nostalgia, and you have one of the purest Halloween sequels thus far. With original cast members returning, a familiar score, and a director willing to explore a creepy tale through fresh eyes, the new sequel will likely satisfy those looking for a good scare. Halloween Kills is an impressive sequel. It delights in a huge body count, brutal murders, and a solid middle film in the middle of this new trilogy. Michael Myers is scary here, and the winks and nods to Carpenter's original work in the new film's favor, with a few fun hints at some of the other sequels you can get a sense of in the trailer. David Gordon Green's continued exploration of the myth of Myers works in unexpected ways. The idea of featuring the town of Haddonfield feels relevant. The small town faced with unimaginable horrors still works, and yes, while she may allow both Miss Greer and Miss Malachek to take on some of the heavy lifting involved, Jamie Lee Curtis beautifully transforms into a Laurie Strode that is ready to end it all, no matter the cost. I dug Halloween Kills. It's a solid sequel, and I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Thanks for listening, and make sure you check out our other reviews and news at JoBlo.com and arrowinthehead.com. Thanks for listening, guys. And remember, it's Halloween. Everyone's entitled to a good scare.
I'm sorry, I can't do it! Gotcha.
In Halloween Kills, the community is all responding to fear and terror in their own way. Some people run and hide, some people step up to the challenge, and Allison is one of the driving forces behind the group that's activated to go and hunt Michael.
It's a maelstrom. It's a cyclone of violence and anger and fear and mob mentality, and it's intense.
Run! Go home now!
Unlock the door! No! Come on!
We killed Michael.
My grandmother set the fire.
No one told you.
Told me what?
Michael Myers is alive.
A man couldn't have survived that fire. "40 years ago, the boogeyman came for us. We are the survivors of Michael Myers.
Laurie, what do we do?
We fight.
Mom,
Our family will kill him.
we're gonna hunt him down and we're gonna put an end to this. He is not gonna stop killing until we stop him.
If you track Michael's victims, that's a straight line to Michael's childhood home.
Someone's in our house.
He's coming for me, but I'm coming for him.
You want to kill someone? Take me! Michael!
I want to take his mask off and see the life leave his eyes.
Bye.